What is going on, everybody? Dad with a bike. And I figured I would come with some tips today. We haven't done tips or anything like that. Why, thank you. In quite a while. And I've got 2 kids that I'm about to put on motorcycles, so I'm about to put them through some training and all that kind of stuff. And I figured what I would do is I would kind of do like 5 tips, 5 things that I think that new motorcyclists should think about before owning a motorcycle. So if you're interested in my 5 tips, then stick around and we'll jump right into those. Alright everybody, thanks for sticking around, and if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Show me some love, give me a like, throw me a comment. If you've got tips for new riders that are more than just this 5, because I really didn't want to do like a long one, so I tried to pick 5 important ones, but if you got more tips, throw them in there. Let's all learn from one another. So today we are out on the Heritage, and as you can see in the mirror, I am rocking the Rock Berserker. Got my GoPro 10 slapped on my chin. I'm talking through my Senna 10C Evo, which, man, that's what I have to use when I use the Berserker. What is this Yahoo doing? And as you can probably also see in the rear view mirror, I am sporting my cut because we are going to a club event. So I'm on my way to meet a bunch of the guys, and we're going to do some stuff. May or may not be a wedding involved, etc. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the 5 tips, so let's jump into those. First and foremost, number 1, take the MSF course or whatever safety course is offered in your state. A lot of people try to skim by this. They try to not do it. They're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I don't need one of those, etc., etc. But if you're a new rider, I will argue for damn certain you need the MSF for a couple of reasons. The biggest one, number 1, I think in my opinion, is that you don't need a motorcycle. MSF courses, at least here in Texas, all provide motorcycles for you, so you do not need to bring a motorcycle. So if you're new to riding, or you really want to think about getting into riding, or you think motorcycling would be cool, that is an absolute great way to introduce yourself to it without spending a crap ton of money, because an MSF course is a couple days. It costs about $300. And at least in the state of Texas, it's mandatory in order for you to actually get your Class M on your license. But what they do in that course is they give you a motorcycle, and they teach you how to ride that motorcycle. They treat everybody in an MSF course as though you've never ridden a motorcycle before. The only single requirement that they have from an experience perspective is that you've ridden a bicycle before. So if you can ride a bicycle, they will teach you how to ride a motorcycle. And what's great about doing this through the MSF course is they break it down super simple. They introduce you to controls. They do all the things that if you were just to throw yourself into it or have a buddy teach you, you'd kind of miss out. And then they go into a few of the slow control moves. You know, you don't go very fast in an MSF course. You know, I think probably top speed you're going to hit is like 20 miles an hour as you are doing some cone exercises. So you don't go terribly fast. But the one thing that it does do is it exposes you to slow maneuvers and exposes you to the motorcycle itself in a very safe, controlled environment. So, for damn certain, my kids are going to do it. They're actually going to go to it in the next month or 2, month and a half, something like that. I forget. I've got it scheduled, but they're going. One is 16, the other is 18. So, first tip, MSF course, do it. Second tip is the motorcycle. I get a lot of questions all the time. What's a good beginner motorcycle? Is this bike a good beginner motorcycle? Is that bike a good beginner motorcycle? And my recommendation to everybody is the exact same when they ask me this question. It doesn't really matter, at least in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what motorcycle it is, as long as you don't mind dropping it or dumping it, because it's gonna happen. You're gonna drop your bike, whether you like it or not. Everybody does it, and you're highly likely going to dump it in a slow maneuver, most likely. I think everybody has done it at least once or a few times in their life. That is my biggest tip for like motorcycles. Get one you don't mind dropping. You're gonna ride that thing probably for about a year before you get really comfortable with it. At that point in time, you can decide to upgrade. Maybe you can give it to a buddy who wants to learn how to ride. Whatever. Just get a bike you don't mind dropping. My third tip, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't think about this, Motorcycling is expensive. You are going to drop money. Yes, a motorcycle is cheap in comparison to a car, but everybody seems to forget all the entry stuff that happens when you get into motorcycling. Number one, you buy a motorcycle, which is cheap. It's not expensive. You can get a used one pretty cheap these days, especially if you're a beginner. But you're going to buy gear, which you should buy gear. You're going to have to do repairs on it. You're going to have to fix it. All kinds of money comes out of owning a motorcycle. You know, it's a hobby that comes at a price. And invariably, we all get a motorcycle and then immediately start upgrading it. Like the sheer amount of money people dump into their motorcycles and upgrading and changing this and exhaust and this and that and the other is insane. And a lot of new riders, they don't think about that. They don't think about the not the entry cost, but the sustainment cost of motorcycling. So be prepared. Expect that you're going to spend money and either be okay with it or don't get a motorcycle. Now, my fourth tip can sometimes be a touchy subject because it's about gear. Do not go cheap on gear, and make sure you do buy gear. Now, I don't always ride with a jacket. Most of the time I do. It depends on what I'm doing and where I'm going. If I were to say it, I would say basically do as I say, not as I do. But you will never, ever see me ride without a minimal of really good gloves, really good protective gloves. And these, like the ones I have on right now, are really good protective gloves. You can see, they've got plastic scrapers on the end. The palms are leather. They're made of Kevlar. There's knuckle protection. I always wear motorcycle pants, something that is Kevlar reinforced. I always wear motorcycling shoes, something that has either armor or is Kevlar enforced. Like right now I'm wearing TCX boots, which are fantastic. They're non-slip on the bottom, all that good stuff. And then I always wear a helmet. Now me, I prefer a full face helmet. I don't like half helmets or anything like that, probably because I've had boo-boos before and the helmet has saved me. So I always wear a full face helmet. And the thing that I will tell you to not go cheap on is gear. Like you can go to Amazon, you can buy a really cheap helmet, you can buy really cheap gloves and all that stuff. Don't do that. This goes back to, my third point about be prepared to spend money. Spend the money on the gear, get the good gear. Don't just go straight up DOT helmets or any of that stuff. Spend the money, get the good gear. Because gear will save your life. Promise you. Number 5, seems goofy, but it's important. Get yourself some cones, small cones, a set of cones that you can practice with. New riders don't do this enough. I see more people on motorcycles, even people that have been riding for years, that suck at slow maneuvers. That is when people dump their bikes. That is when accidents happen, is when you're kind of going slow or you're trying to maneuver through something or whatever. You're not a confident rider in slow maneuvers and you drop the bike. These motorcycles are heavy. This one's like, 700 or 800 pounds. It's heavy, so if I drop it, it's a pain in the ass to pick up. And if you drop your bike, while you're going, you dump the bike, right? You can cause problems with yourself. You can break an ankle. All kinds of stuff can happen on these slow maneuvers. Do yourself a favor, get you some cones, and go practice slow maneuvers in an empty parking lot. All that stuff they teach you in the MSF course, go grab you some cones and go repeat it. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, until you can do those crazy U-turns, the figure eights, and the tight turns at slow speeds like they cover in the class. And one last one, this is a bonus one. It's number 6, but it's a bonus. Learn to turn your own wrenches. It's not that complicated to do maintenance on a motorcycle, at least the basic maintenance. And I will argue that doing the basic maintenance on your motorcycle puts you more in tune with your motorcycle, so that when you do your pre-ride checks, because you should be doing pre-ride checks, you'll already know things that could be problematic on your bike, because you're doing things like you're checking your oil, you're changing your oil, you're checking your tires, you're making sure that the adjustment's done on your belt, and if it's not, then you're adjusting the belt. All of these things are pieces of maintenance that you can do on your own. They're not complicated, and it's a great skill to have because you never know when you're going to break down. So, learn to turn your own wrenches. Well, anyway, that's it. We're going to leave you. I hope you all thought this was helpful. I hope you all enjoyed it. Do me a favor, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you stuck to the end, do me a favor, follow on to one of these other videos or one of these playlists. Tell all your buddies. Shout to the hills how awesome Dad with a Bike's channel is. And y'all be safe. Y'all be nice to one another. I love y'all. Peace.